everybody. Today we're going to start our unit on measurement. And we're going to be talking about first the customary system because that is what we use in our country, in the United States. Other places around the world use a metric system, which we're going to be talking about also next week. But to first start, we're going to talk about our system. Now, the customary system is a little more complicated than the metric system because the metric system uses the system of tens, right? The powers of 10. But what the customary system is a little bit different. So we're going to be talking about length today and how we measure things in our country. And we use inches, feet, feet, and yards. So to first start, we're going to talk about inches with a ruler. So I'm going to pull this and I'm going to hold this up, and this is my inch ruler. The other side is going to be the metric side, and it's going to be centimeters. We're not going to look at that yet. We're just going to look at this. We know it's the inch side because right here it says inches. Now, there's nothing less than an inch in our system of measurement. So we say inch, or we say a part of an inch. So an inch is divided into 8 equal spaces between each inch. So there's 8 lines. Now, how does that look? When people measure with inches, they're going to usually give you a whole number, so the number of whole inches, and then the part or the number of those spaces between the inch. So you might have heard someone say it is 2.5 inches or 2 1/4 inch. So what that looks like is, since everything has an 8 at the bottom, they're just simplifying that fraction to make halves or fourths. So for instance, if I had 2 whole inches and then 4/8, which means 4 of those lines, it would be 4/8, but we're going to simplify that. That really means a half. If I was measuring something and I had part of a inch, and I was saying, oh, it was 2/8, which would mean on here, when I look at it, that it's 2 of those 8 pieces. It would really be 1/4. And so on. If it was, I'm going to erase this, if it was 6 of those 8 pieces, it would be 3/4 of an inch. So sometimes you'll hear even smaller measurements besides 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. Sometimes, so for instance, let's say I'm measuring wood and I go into Home Depot and I ask them to cut wood. I might say my unit measurement of an inch, so I might say, hey, I need something that's 9 whole inches and then 3/8 of an inch. So that what they would do is they would measure on my ruler, and this is another ruler that you probably have at home, might have at home. I'd go all the way to 9 whole inches, and then it's saying 3 of those tiny little 1/8 pieces that are between the whole inch markings. Seldom do you ever hear somebody say, you're not going to hear somebody say, only measuring things like wood and things like that, where it has to be a very precise or exact measurement, would they say 5/8 or 7/8. Usually people, if you're rounding, you're going to round to the closest 1/4, 1/2, or 3/4 of an inch. Another example that I have to relate to of this with measurement and getting exact measurements with the 8s is, let's say that you were having shades purchased or blinds purchased for your windows. You want those to fit exactly correct. So they're going to go right down to the 1/8 of an inch. The next measurement is a foot, and that is just the length of a ruler, 12 inches. last, or not last, but the next would be yards. And this is a yard stick. This is 36 inches, or 3 of my rulers together. So tonight's homework is today's homework, you are just going to look at measuring to a 1/4 of an inch. So they're going to have you look at the number of whole inches, and then the number of parts. So it could either be 1/2, 1/4, or 3/4. You're not going to go into those exact eighths, but I thought it was important that you understood that those exist and how the inches divided up. The next lesson you're going to listen to later today is we're going to talk a little bit about how we convert with measurement and how we go from inches to feet and feet to yards and what that looks like. So, good luck, and I'll see you in a few minutes for the next lesson.